So you may be asking yourself, where do I get my reptile? Before you buy your reptile, you need to figure out where are the reputable breeders. You can go on Morph Market, you can go on a Facebook group, you can go on anywhere, and you'll find reputable breeders. In those same places, you will also find backyard breeders. So you may be asking, what is a backyard breeder? Why does this guy hate backyard breeders so much? A backyard breeder is someone who hasn't done any research as far as what genes they have, what morphs they have, or anything else, and they just decided to put their animals together and see what they can get. And this is what's ruining the reptile community. People are buying reptiles, keeping them for a couple weeks, and they're dying. And it's because people do not know what they're breeding out there, and they're just breeding cool things and hoping that these cool things make other cool things. But they don't understand that certain things, when you breed them together, could possibly make offspring that are not going to make it past a certain time. And that is the problem with backyard breeders, is the breeders that do not have any idea what they are doing. They don't have any idea what genetics are in their bearded dragons or their ball pythons. They don't have any idea what is going on with their reptiles. Are they old enough? Are they too young? Are they too overweight? Are they not of weight yet? They do not understand that there are certain things that have to be done before you can start breeding. If you think about it, all of the videos I've made already, it's not a lot, but I've made a lot of videos talking about things you're supposed to be doing. And it's because I've encountered so many people in my time that they just do not care about what they're doing. They're just in it for a quick buck, and it's not the way to go about it. You may make a little bit of money breeding reptiles, but it's not going to be a significant amount to where you could just disregard the safety of all of the animals you're creating and the safety of your own animals. When I first started breeding bearded dragons in 2012, it was literally like the hardest thing ever. And it's not because, oh, I couldn't figure out what genetics were and all of that. I'm freaking smart as far as that stuff goes. It's because I was trying to go about it the wrong way. I was in it to make a little bit of money, because back then there wasn't really a lot of money into it, but I was into it. I was getting hypo pastels, I was getting leatherbacks, I was getting everything I could find that was not what you could find at a pet store. So I spent a little bit of money. I had about 5 dragons. I had blue bars. I had crazy stuff. But 10 years ago, the crazy stuff was really just normal stuff that you see now. Blue bars, dunners, leatherbacks, that's just normal stuff that you can find at a pet store now. But what was wrong with what I was doing was that I was just throwing the male in with all of the females at the same time. I was taking no precautions as far as breeding. I was letting them go ham. Okay, so that is what a lot of backyard breeders do. They'll throw all the reptiles together, and they do not care of what happens. They'll get 1 male and 10 females and just let the male go crazy, and that's just not how it works. Females fight. Males fight. Males and females fight. And that's bearded dragons. Now, with ball pythons, it's a little bit more than just letting the females and the males breed. With ball pythons, what I've noticed a lot is people will start breeding their ball pythons way too early. Their females aren't even ready to breed, and they'll just throw the male in there. And a lot of times when you pair young animals, either they do not make it because they're trying to absorb all of their nutrients just to create the eggs, and they do not have enough, or the person never gets eggs from them and they just throw them away, or they just sell them, or they just hand them off to somebody else, and eventually they get something else, and they just keep trying and trying. Instead of trying to learn what the proper way of what to do, they just keep handing off this animal. They just keep getting a new animal. And you also probably see a lot of flippers doing this. A lot of flippers will say, oh, I'm about to breed this snake, or I'm about to breed this dragon. 2 months later, you see the dragon for sale, you see the snake for sale, or they're trading it for something else. And because they couldn't get that ball python, or they couldn't get that bearded dragon to do anything, so they're going to trade it. And maybe they're going to get a hognose, or maybe they're going to get a blue tongue skink or something. They don't know what they're doing. They're just in it to see what they can make. They don't care if they're going to make a little bit of money. They don't care if they're going to make a lot of money. They just know they're not going to make it with this snake or this bearded dragon. At least they think. In this video, I actually want to talk about a couple things that I would do personally with breeding. So obviously, like I said, 10 years ago, I did it wrong. I'm just trying to give you advice of what you should do right now. If this is your first time, if this is your 10th time, there's probably something that you're not doing right. And that's okay. Just got to keep going at it. Keep trying. If you're not trying, you're not doing something right. And that's okay. Because like I said, 10 years ago, I wasn't doing things right. And I'm pretty sure last year I did some things that probably weren't right. And it happens. For example, one of the things you need to do is you need to watch for the health of your reptile. Most of the time, we don't consider them as an animal that could probably get unhealthy, and we just keep going and doing what we're supposed to be doing: feeding, bathing, cleaning. It's a routine that you just keep going through when you have reptiles, especially when you have this many reptiles. You just bathe, make sure they're clean, make sure they're fed, make sure they're watered, make sure they're fed, make sure they're watered, clean. It's a constant cycle, and you just forget that maybe you should be considering the health of your animals. So that was one thing that I didn't do a lot of the time whenever I started doing this, is I just kept going around with the cycle of feeding and bathing and cleaning and doing. And I forgot to look at what the health of my bearded dragon was actually doing. So you think that just because they're eating, just because they're drinking water, and just because you're bathing them and cleaning up after them, that everything should be okay. But sometimes your bearded dragon doesn't show you that they are actually unwell. They just keep acting like everything's fine. Yeah, they might not eat. Bearded dragons do that. Snakes do that. They go without eating, and that's fine. But sometimes you think that they're just not eating, and sometimes they're trying to tell you that they are really on a downward spiral. So you need to actually look at the health of your animal. You should never breed an animal that doesn't seem healthy. And not because they're probably not going to produce, but because they might die after they produce. I've actually had a female die after laying eggs before. It happens. If they didn't get egg bound, that didn't happen. She just didn't have enough nutrients to actually continue laying eggs. And there was really nothing that I could do, because she was actually a bearded dragon that laid eggs every 3 to 4 weeks. And I could never catch up to her eggs. I could never provide enough calcium. I could never provide enough multivitamins. So eventually she just overlaid her eggs. She just laid more eggs than her body could handle, and she didn't make it. And yeah, I'm not proud of it, but there wasn't really anything I could do. The only thing I could have done was not breed her to begin with. But who was to know that she was going to be laying her eggs so rapidly? So that happened. Again, not proud of it. The next thing you want to do before you start breeding is treat these animals like your pets. Handle them. Play with them. Take them outside. Do not be that backyard breeder, okay? A backyard breeder does not care about the animals. They're in it for the money. They do not care if their animal goes outside and enjoys the sun. They care about the money. And people hate me for this. If you ever see me on social media posting my bearded dragons in the kiddie pool, people hate me. I don't know why. They actually did it whenever I was posting my dragons in the bathtub. They hate me about it. I put all of my females in the kiddie pool together outside on a summer's day. I put my chair right next to them and I hang out with them. Yeah, I don't care if they're all together. They don't care if they're all together. They're drinking water. They're swimming. They're basking. They do not care about each other. But guess what? I'm taking the time to take them outside and enjoy some time with them. I handle each one of them, and they enjoy it. Sometimes they get a little pissy, but that's just their personality. But other than that, they enjoy it. So don't be that backyard breeder that just is, I have an animal and I'm going to make money out of it. It's not really a pet. They're all pets. That's the reason you're trying to sell it, right? You're not trying to sell it for someone else to just go through the same motions. You're trying to sell it so someone else has a pet. So use yours as your pet. Don't just use it as a breeding machine. Please. Now, I know in my videos, you don't see me with my snakes around my neck, or you don't see me with my bearded dragons and all that. And it's because I don't really want to put them through all of this stress. I move my hands a lot. I move my body a lot. So there's a lot that could stress them out. They could jump off of me, and I don't want them to get injured. Now, I know this may seem like a rant. I really just don't like when people don't take into consideration the animal, the snake, the dragon, whatever animal you have, whatever kind of reptile you have. Take it into consideration. What are their needs? What are you supposed to do with them? What are you supposed to do with them to make them happy? Now, you're probably like, oh, it's a reptile. It doesn't have emotions. Yes, it does. My last video, a dragon literally jumped off a ledge just to get to the glass and sit there and look at me. You guys didn't see it. I kept staring over there, and she just kept staring right back at me. They have emotions. That was Rita. Rita has emotions. Okay? Don't ask about Rita. I'll make a video about Rita in a different video. She's awesome. So, yes, animals While they are animals, they do have emotions. So treat them like they do have emotions. Now, before I lose you, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything that I put out in the future. I don't rant like this all the time, but I do get a little bit crazy sometimes when I talk about stuff that I'm passionate about. There's going to be a point where you collect so many reptiles and your spouse is going to get mad at you because you are spending so much more time with the reptiles than you are with your family. I've hit that point. I hit that point forever ago. My wife understands it a little bit more now, but I have so many reptiles. I have to actually be out here cleaning them, handling them, taking care of them. So yes, if you're going to get to that point of breeding reptiles and you're not a backyard breeder, you're actually going to take the time to individually check on your animals. If you're a backyard breeder, you could care less. They're probably sitting in their own filth. They're probably not clean. They're probably wondering where you are. They're probably wondering what the heck is going on. They're probably wondering why they're in this box, why they're in this tub, and you're just wondering, when am I going to sell my next dragon? When am I going to sell my next snake? And you could care less about how they're feeling. All right. If you made it this far into the video, I appreciate it. Hopefully my rant didn't really get to anybody, because really, if you are a pet owner, you should really feel the same way. Nobody should be treating their pets like that. But again, I appreciate you watching my video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything that I put out in the future. Peace.